Okay, so if you clicked on this video, you're either a desperate spy man or you're wondering who the hell I am. To hopefully answer everyone's questions as well as my friends who ask me why the hell I was playing Spy in MVMs.
Notice how Shane and I are having fun and you aren't, Luke?
Is he playing Spy? Of
Thank you.
course he is.
I made this video demonstrating Spy's role in MVM and how to play him. Alright, for the loadout, most Spy players prefer to stick to one specific one. Diamondback, the Kunai, and the Dead Ringer. Separate choice didn't really matter too much. Now this makes sense, because you can just ignore the health on kill upgrade and have more health than a soldier just by backstabbing a robot. And you can become a mini tank that can do thousands of damage at a time before dying. But what if I told you that this wasn't my preferred loadout? Most notably the knife. Now I know what you're thinking, why would you sacrifice 1,000 effective health in the game mode that revolves around taking damage? Well, I prefer immortality. What do I mean? I use the Big Earner instead of the Kunai because it has two unique mechanics that upgrades don't give you, while the Kunai only has one unique mechanic that can be upgraded to give a similar effect. The first unique mechanic that I'm going to talk about is the speed mechanic. This may not seem very useful at first, but when you take into consideration that there are so many robots that can outspeed you, namely the variations of scouts, and the fact that you can use this to unleash huge chain stabs going all the way to the front lines, it becomes pretty interesting. A gimmick that also adds to this is the fact that you can
Trick stab robots. Whoa, epic trick stab. Wacky frag. Super kill.
That's right, you can
Break some robotic ankle.
And now, the more important mechanic to my strategy, the cloak regen on stab. This paired with the Dead Ringer and how clueless robots are, I found that you can practically have infinite dead rings, unless you mess up a stab of course. You can just do circles of stabs of 2 to 3 robots at a time, and since you never die if you're good, you stack up on tons of critical hits in your Diamondback. You can use these crits to either snipe enemies or help with tanks, which segues into my next point. Spy's role on MvM is to be a support class, picking off robots and help your team. And in later raids, he can single-handedly take out big robots. He's good when his team needs to take less damage or if you don't want to get pushed back. Spy effectively eliminates a good chunk of robots just from doing his thing. When he's found, every robot in the area will look at him without fail, giving his team opportunities to fire uncontested. He's good at dealing with sniper bots because they're far on the back lines, good with medic bots because they're always behind their target preparing to use Uber, good at taking out heavy bots because they're slow with big hitboxes, and if they turn around it makes it much easier for your team to kill them, and good against NG bots for, obvious reasons. He also has the ability to slow robots with a zapper. This is best used on the giant scouts because of how fast they are. You want to be careful on your sapper usage though. There's a long recharge regardless of what robot you put it on, and it's very easy to put it on the wrong one. Paired with the fact that there's no recharge upgrade, you should be very careful on your use on it. Luckily this is only the case if you don't have a scout running Milk or a sniper running Drati, because many times they can make up for your sapper's slowness. Where Spy falls short though, as always, is pure numbers. Spy has never excelled in consistency and MvM doesn't completely fix this problem. You're only able to get a couple of picks before resetting your position, while the rest of your team is getting several kills per click. Now this is partially balanced out by the Diamondback if you survive, but unless your team is doing well to begin with, Spy isn't the most useful in early waves. In the late waves, however, that's where the fun begins. Because Spy's upgrades are all quite expensive, he can't really be useful until later waves, which actually works out for him because the later waves are where he's needed the most. Spy is amazing against big robots. When swing speed and penetration are maxed out, he has no problem taking out big robots before they can turn around. This is especially useful against giant medics because a lot of times they'll refuse to turn around and die due to their AI. This is one of the only things that your team will thank you for as Spy, if you haven't already been bullied off Spy, that is.
Don't. Nobody tell me to go NG. Nobody tell me to go NG. Nobody tell me to go NG, please.
Spy college. Spy switch. I love you, Luke. Like, you should have picked a better class than main.
Alright, I'm gonna speed through some MvM tips for Spy real quick, so listen up. Upgrade health and kill first, followed by swing speed, followed by armor penetration, followed by resistances. You can do resistances later thanks to Dead Ringer. You can one-shot Big Fist to steal heavies if you have crits and a tank is coming, spec into your gun for that round. Prioritize support robots if the tank is coming, that way it'll let your team focus on the tank and you get crits to unload in the tank. If there's small robots supporting a big robot, they'll focus the big one because you'll do more work that way. Alright, definitely missed some, but that was everything off the top of my head. So please spread more tips in the comments. Alright, now for how to fix Spy in MvM. As I said earlier, Spy is difficult to pull off in early waves due to how expensive his upgrades are. Namely his penetration upgrade. Maybe half the cost of this to 200 money instead, possibly even make the swing speed 100. Now for the sapper. was thinking about giving them both separate mechanics, but that seems too complicated for now. So the sapper should have a cooldown decrease upgrade aside from just the power upgrade. And it should have a mechanic where if you kill the robot that you're zapping, then you get 50% of the sapper charge back. And if your team kills it, then you get 25% of the charge back. That way you aren't punished as hard for missing your target, and you're also rewarded for thinking about when and where to use your zapper. This change would make it more comparable to the Mad Milk. I also wanted to change the Eternal Reward since it's the definition of a direct downgrade, and does, quite literally, nothing but drain your cloak. I think a much more creative way of dealing with this weapon being overpowered would be to add a disguise bar that takes a few seconds to charge. What this would do is whenever it's charged, you can backstab a robot with the full effect of the Eternal Reward. What this would also do is when you whiff a stab or stab a giant robot with it full, you won't lose your disguise, either giving you more time to rethink and recharge the meter or get an extra stab on a big robot without being noticed. And now, my favorite two changes I came up with, is money mechanics. I believe that Spy should, like Scout, have a slightly extended area around it to pick up money. It wouldn't be as large as Scout's, and it would work well because he's in the front lines anyway and can work as a part-time money collector as is. This would just make it easier for Spy. And instead of giving Spy health for picking up money, he would apply a 1.25 multiplier on money for robots he's killed. This would make it a solo counter pick from Scout and would make up for any money he missed, but if they used together, there would be an abundance of money at a new level, allowing for much more reason to run Spy and more fun to have one on your team. Well, if you made it this far, then thanks. I found it fun to use a competitive mindset in a namely casual portion of the game. I enjoy coming up with these new ideas and concepts that are balanced, and enjoy balancing already existing things. Of course, none of these are perfect and would definitely need some testing before they would even have a chance of making it into a finalized state. So please, don't take my word as law. I'm just a spy main who likes coming up with ideas. But again, thanks for watching, and peace.